I've had my GH5 now for about 2 weeks, and I'd like to talk about some of the things that you don't hear people talking about on the internet. You hear about a lot of whining about focus and all that kind of stuff. Here's the things I found that nobody's really talking about. First of all is the phone app. It's an incremental improvement over the GH4 version. It's got a lot of improvements, but it's essentially the same app. What's changed though is the fact that the GH5 has Bluetooth, and to me this is just a huge convenience factor. So when you pair your phone with the GH5, then every time you open the image app, it automatically knows to turn on the Wi-Fi on the GH5 and know that you want to operate the camera. So you open up the app, the camera automatically connects, and you're ready to go. But even cooler than that is the fact that you can turn the camera off and the Bluetooth still stays on. That's an option in the settings. So you leave Bluetooth on. So I can sit here with my phone with the camera in the off switch position and open up my app, tell it to turn on. It will boot up the camera and then connect to Wi-Fi. So there's some kind of Bluetooth magic in there that tells the camera, gives it a start command, and once it's up and running, then it connects over Wi-Fi and you're ready to go. So I think this is just really, really cool. Imagine being in the office or even at a family event and having the camera on a tripod like I have right now in the off position, and as long as it's just point it where you need to point it, turn on your phone, and you never have to touch the camera. I just think that's cool. So I'm sitting here using a Yuryev monopod with a big foot. Sure you can find it on the internet. It's got a light blue swivel. I plan to use it for wildlife, but for right now it's just sitting on a tripod on my patio, holding my camera up. So this is great because it's got a small footprint. I can put it in the closet, keep it handy out here, flip out the feet, throw on my camera, and be ready to go in seconds. So convenience is the big thing there. The other thing that I don't think people are talking about enough, and I'm sure this will come out in the next few weeks or months, is I think the GH5 is a great photography camera. I have the Lumix 100 to 400 stabilized, so you have the double stabilization. And just for grins, I took that lens and took a couple of shots with the GH5, the GH4, and the GX85. And I'm not a pixel peeper, and I'm not a professional. My test was I just stuck the thing at the sky and took a picture of the top of the trees next door, and so I got the green leaves and the blue sky, and I was amazed how little noise there was in the blue sky on the GH5 compared to the GH4. So I thought that was kind of cool.
I tested the GH5 versus the GH4, and I don't know if you can see it on this. I'm not sure after I do a screen print and then put it in YouTube that you can make much use out of this, but just take my word for it. It's the sensitivity and the range on the GH5 is better than the GH4. Now versus the GX85, I didn't see much of an improvement, if at all. I think they're close to being the same sensor, since the GX85 is a newer generation. So the GH5 may be a slight improvement.
I'm looking forward to taking this same lens, the 100 to 400, to the baseball game and pointing it at the batter and putting it in 180 frame per second mode. I just think you'll be able to see the ball come off the bat, you know, in slow-mo, and you should be able to get some pretty good shots that way. Just the other lines of cameras, Panasonic is constantly improving their firmware. I think they had upgrades on the GH4. Back to the Wi-Fi. The other great thing about the Wi-Fi, and I don't think the GH4 did this, at least I never figured it out, but the picture transfer works really, really cool. Don't use it a lot, but when you do use it at an event where somebody wants, you know, this picture or that picture, it's nice to have. So the way I've found that it works is you tell it to transfer a picture, and you can tell it to upload to Dropbox or Amazon Drive or Google Drive or whatever, or email. And the program, the image app logs that, turns off the camera Wi-Fi temporarily, and uploads it to wherever you told it to go, cloud or email, and does that, and then reconnects back to the camera again. I just think this is really cool. So the fact that it knows which photos you wanted after it turned itself off and reconnected. Haven't quite figured out how it does that. I don't think it transfers the data via Bluetooth. I think it must have buffered in your phone somewhere, or it must copy it somewhere on your phone, and then when it disconnects, the app knows to send it to wherever you told it to send it to. So I just think that's really cool. I'm going to do a couple of tests here with the pull focus. There's a million guys out there probably showing you how to do that. I just wanted to see how it worked for myself, see if I have any use for it. Again, I'm not a pro, but I like to do pro quality stuff if I can, and maybe one day I'll get paid for an actual job. But so I did some deals with the pull focus. I also checked the high ISO, and there's millions of ISO tests out there. So I did the 12,800 ISO, and as others have shown, it's really noisy. The app that I like in Final Cut is Neat Image Noise Reduction. It just does a really good job. So as you'll see, I did some test shots, and you can see the noise in the 12,800. But Neat Image gets rid of all that. Of course, you do lose some granularity in the focus. You know, you do lose some definition. But if you're got a dark shot and you know you don't really care what's going on in the dark areas, but you don't want it looking all noisy, I think it's good as long as there's enough light on your subject matter. To me, it's the difference between getting a shot and not getting a shot. I don't like carrying around a lot of lights. If you're in a social environment, people don't like people shoving a light in their face, you know. I've got the little aperture ones, and I think they're really neat, but other people have told me they're annoying, so we'll see about that. I'm trying out the pull focus, so right now I'm on the vase, and now I'm looking at my H5 zoom, and I'm actually using the H5 zoom as my mic, so we'll see how this looks. Kind of cool. Go back to the vase. There, it's in focus. And back to the H5. Very cool. I like it. Okay, I have now changed my post focus to slow. So I started from position 2 and went to position 1. And now I'm going to hit position 2 now. And as you can see, it's a slow pull focus to the H5 zoom. Very cool. Okay, I've now switched the ISO to 800, and we'll see if there's any noise in the table there. and 1600, which we know 3200 had some noise in it. We'll see if 1600 crushes the noise, or if I have to go down to 800 or even 400. Okay, now I'm at 3200, testing once again. I believe it was 6400 I was at earlier, so again, we'll see if get the noise back. And just for giggles, here's 12,800 ISO. It looks fine on the screen, the scope looks fine, but I think there's a lot of noise in here. Neat image noise reduction may fix this, so I might test that out later.
Here's the same video clip with neat image applied. And you can see there's a lot less noise in the tabletop and in the dark areas. So this makes quite a bit of improvement, but there is a loss in detail. So here on my second try, starting now, you can see them side by side. So you can see the noise on the left with no processing versus almost no noise on the right, but there is a loss in detail of the grain in the wood. Now, for most nighttime shooting, this may not make a difference at all, so it's just up to you. Thanks.
There are a couple of things I don't understand about the GH5. The first one is this jump feature. If you look on the image app, and if you read the manual, they got this jump feature here. There's a little guy jumping on the screen here. So you turn that feature on. Supposedly if you jump, it knows it's supposed to take a picture. It's like, who's going to buy a $2,000 camera and then jump up and down? I could see that working on a phone, but anyway, I don't understand why they did that. Maybe somebody can explain that one to me. I guess maybe if you do this with your phone, you're not actually jumping, but anyway, please leave a comment if you understand what this is for and why you might use it. What's the use case? So I apologize for the ambient noise here if it's too annoying to anyone. I don't have a lav mic on. I'm just using my Video Mic Pro with the hairy sock on it. But there's a busy street 3 or 4 blocks away. There's a school 2 blocks away, so you'll hear some noise there. And then of course the birds, but that's why I'm out here. It's a nice day. That's cool. So I just checked my text messages and flipped back to the image app, and it was still on. So I think that's an improvement over the last time, or over what the GH4 version was doing. So that's pretty cool. So as long as you got enough battery, you can do your other stuff and come back to it as long as you don't close the program down, it stays connected. I just think that's very cool. I've got this connected to my phone. I can see, just having a cheapy phone without even a data plan or anything, and just using it for nothing but this. I know Samsung makes some. They actually have some pretty good phones that aren't their top of the line. There's a J7V, I think, that has a replaceable battery. What else does it have on it? Anyway, it has a pretty decent screen. But I could see picking one of those up on the internet somewhere. No data plan at all, and so that's pretty cool. I stopped the camera for a second, and I snapped a couple of pictures of my my rig here that I've just got sitting on the patio. Anyway, I really like the app and how I can focus. So, who cares about the autofocus? People adapt. They use the tools they've got. I don't think it's a deal breaker. I just like all these usability features. Like the fact that you can do the custom menus You can put all the items that you use the most in your own user menu. You can reprogram all the buttons on the back. And what's the last thing here? I haven't had a chance to play with it a whole lot, but I think the sound is a lot better. I think the preamp on this thing has been improved. I'm sure there'll be a lot of tests on that, but the VideoMic Pro just seems to me, at least to my ear, seems to sound better. As your UI for the phone, your remote app for the phone, I could even see somehow attaching it to the Manfrotto here. Here's my Manfrotto with the crane gimbal on it. I should have put my GH4 on here. So there's the gimbal, and there's the bottom of the pole. Again, I just walk around with it at a 45-degree angle like this, but I could see attaching a phone to this, with some kind of a clamp, and operate be able to do focus and start and stop the deal remotely. I think the crane app may do that. You may be able to do some of it from the crane. I hadn't spent enough time on it, but I think this would probably give you a lot more flexibility. Anyway, so I'm sure others have probably already figured this out, but for the money, you got $2,000 spent on GH5, man, spend $600 or buy one of these guys here, because this little guy here is the bomb, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, with 60 frames per second to 4K and one of these guys, you can really get some dreamy video. I was at a wedding where I was in the first row, and I actually just stood there, as a family member, and stuck this out low so it wasn't too obnoxious, and got a great shot of the bride coming up, and then pulled it back before she got to the deal. And of course, I'm not a wedding videographer, at least right now, but I got one pretty good shot of the bride coming down the aisle. I just thought that was pretty neat, and I'm sure they'll appreciate it. And then I was able to sit there in the pew and use my monopod and do pan shots of the altar. So I think this guy here, and of course it's collapsible, so pretty lightweight. You could actually, if you're very strong at all, you can put it on your elbow here and carry it out like that. That'd probably get pretty heavy after a while. I've actually got like a little, if you can see here. Anyway, it's a pouch you put either a phone in or a knife or something like that, and you just stick this guy in here, and as long as you're stationary, that way you can pivot it off your hip at 45-degree angle and kind of do pans like that. I could see doing that at a concert or some kind of outdoor event, the kids game or whatever. Pretty neat stuff. Lastly, I'd like to thank Max Yuryev and PhotoJoseph. I think I've watched just about every YouTube video either one of you guys have done. I'm glad you all settled your differences and did your little focus solution thing, and hopefully you'll come out with the right answer, and so I'll know what to do. But I think as time moves on, to me, some of these usability features will come out. But again, thanks guys. I've learned a lot. I'm not a pro. I just do this for fun. So, thank you.